Hello everybody. One of the reasons I started this channel is because I want us all that have been through this to feel better. And I don't want us to internalize what has happened to us and make it be about something that we did wrong, or how did this happen to me? What did I do to make this come into my life? Or what's wrong with me? Why did they pick me? And I've talked about this before, but I wanted to revisit it, okay? There's nothing that anyone did to make that happen to them. There's nothing that we did to make it happen to us. What we may have done, not knowingly, is be in some kind of vulnerable place in our life that allowed them to come in to a even slightly ajar door, right? So for example, any vulnerability can lead us to become entangled or enmeshed with somebody like this, okay? Whereas somebody that is standing strong without that vulnerability would have walked away from the exact same narcissist that ensnared you, that ensnared me. If you think of it that way, okay, so what would make you vulnerable? If you had recently had, honestly, it could be a job loss, a death in the family, you've moved, you came off a big fight with a friend, it could be a breakup you had, it could be anything. It doesn't need to be a big, wide open door of vulnerability, slightly ajar. And in they come with the intense love bombing, the attention that they put on you, give to you. They make everything about you. It can be intoxicating. Not to mention, of course, a relief from this negative thing off of which you are just coming. That made you vulnerable. So they're going to make you feel better. They're going to make you feel safe. They're going to hold you. They're going to make you feel like everything's going to be okay. They're going to make you feel like they're your hero. Man, woman, he, she, doesn't matter. This can happen in either way. When you are someone who has been deprived in the way of any kind of attention or physical attention, compliments, maybe you're coming off a bad marriage or a bad relationship and they withheld that kind of thing, you're obviously more susceptible to wanting that in your life. And it's normal, right? So rather than see it as an intrusion of breaking your boundaries that they keep showing up at your door, that's how mine started. Okay, started that way. I wasn't down to see somebody 7 days, 7 nights a week from the moment I said, hi, nice to meet you. Not at all. But they break your boundaries, kept showing up at my door. Hey, hi, what do you mean we're not getting together? But I missed you. Boom, lays it on thick. Boom, I'm going to dinner. I'm stopping painting my house, jumping into the shower, and going to dinner. I can't tell you how many times that happened. I had no idea he was showing up. Would show up, I'm painting, covered in paint, do-rap and everything. Oh, I didn't know I was dating a guy. You look like a guy. Look at you. Oh, yeah, then he would devalue me because he showed up without warning and I looked the way I looked, which I look adorable when I'm painting, excuse me. But I wouldn't be showered. I would be covered in paint, in my paint clothes. I'd get the commentary. I'd go beautify, and we'd be out to dinner. Rather than me stick to my boundaries and say, this is clearly not a good time. I told you yesterday that I would see you in 4 days. I'd like to maintain that. I have a lot to do around here. I'm a little busy. What do you mean, is what he would have said. And maybe I would never have seen him again. Would that have been the worst thing? Oh my God, if I only had the knowledge and the wherewithal to have handled it that way. But I didn't. I was in a vulnerable place. I hadn't really set hard boundaries for myself yet. Hard boundaries for myself yet. I said with my words, yeah, this is nice, and I'll see this guy a couple times a week, and we'll see where it goes. The second he broke my boundaries, I let him. I let him. Because I think I was craving attention and what is present in the love bombing. And that, it really can be intoxicating when you have not had it in your life. What we have to kind of look for is the realistic escalation of that kind of language. When somebody comes on that strong and we receive them and they get no stoppage and we don't even try to say, ooh, just so you know, you could even say it nicely. I'm not even saying you recognize the person as a narcissist on date one and douse them and say no more, goodbye. I'm not even thinking that I would have that level of education yet. But I'm hoping by the second date or third date, you would recognize somebody is now breaking your boundaries, pushing you past where you clearly want to go, whether you explained it to them or not. You could then. All of these things can lead to you being ensnared by the narcissist and then being susceptible to their treatment. For us to say, what did I do to deserve this treatment? We didn't jump right to the negative treatment. It's what happened in life that made me susceptible to the love bombing phase that ensnared me to the narcissist, which then made them capable of inflicting the abuse upon me. That's really the question. Because really, if you're not educated, and I wasn't, and you know nothing about this disorder, and you know nothing about people come on strong and do this, and the language is clear, it's absolutely desperate language. I've never met anyone like you in my life. This is going to turn both our lives around. You are the answer to everything. I'm not talking about a guy who says I love you in order to sleep with you, the old adage from movies decades long, or the old, he'll say anything to get in your pants type expression, which I don't like that expression. It's kind of nasty. But that's an old adage which is true. And if you know any men that are friends, it can be true. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a glamorized, very elaborate, very divisive pattern of behavior they show you to capture you in and make you think you are set now. Somebody loves you. They make you think they have your back. Everything is the opposite of what they make you think. Well, that's not that hard to fall into if you've been lacking that and you're craving that and you're ready for that and you're ready to give that back to someone. Don't be so hard on yourself. But now we know better. So the next time something comes at me with 1,000 red flags in the way of somebody love bombing me, I think I would recognize it and say, I appreciate where you're coming from, but that's just not a pace that I find myself moving in these days. You could say anything, but I will absolutely make people respect my boundaries. And if I meet somebody and I only want to see them once a week for 6 months, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm hoping that I don't get that confusion where they come at me so strong and I mistaken it for actual feelings. Now you might say, well, how could we decipher? I don't know. They say you know when you know. I think I would definitely decipher strong love bomb language. And every narcissist is different. So I'm not saying I'm never going to meet another narcissist again. We all will. They're everywhere. But I'm hoping that whatever creative language that person comes up with, I'm going to now recognize it and say, I feel that it is more important that we get to know each other first before we think we are ready to express those kinds of feelings. I've been hurt before, and I'm taking it slow. That's it. You don't have to explain your past. You don't have to explain your details. You don't have to explain anything. You don't even have to explain as much as what I just said. But I don't want anyone to think that they did something to bring this onto themselves. The abuse that they put onto people is inherently built into their cycle. All they have to do isn't capture you in the beginning. So when you're hard on yourself and you say, what did I do to deserve this abuse? Again, and I've said it already in this video and I will say it again, it's not that they started out that way. They didn't come in abusing you. So we have to ease up on ourselves. Ease up on ourselves. And then the whole thing of, well, why did I let him stay and do it for longer and longer and longer? Well, by that point, they already love bombed you and you thought you were in love. They promised you all of the things in your life you've ever wanted because they mirrored what you said you wanted back to you. And you thought you met your soulmate. Ease up. I think we all need to ease up on ourselves because it's heartbreaking for me, for myself, to say, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong to make this person come to me. But that's where the self-work comes in that I'm doing now. I'm checking any vulnerable ajar doors that I had. I'm checking those and making sure that they are dealt with. And I'm trying to learn from what I may have been lacking before and realize that you need to give that to yourself. No other person's going to complete that for you. If you have a hole somewhere in you, somewhere, there's a little hole of lacking of self-love, you need to fill that before you meet somebody, because that is the ajar door that they will use. One little tiny speck in me, as much as I feel I love myself, one little tiny speck was lacking and he got in. So ease up on ourselves and let's not think that we did something awful to warrant the terrible narcissistic treatment. It is nothing that we did. We allowed love bombing in because there was a vulnerability. And we were probably deprived in that way, and so we latched onto it. And they're probably charming and manipulative, and many of them, you know, really will lay on the, I'm going to cater to you, and it can be intoxicating and very difficult to say no when you don't even know what the disorder is. You don't know at that stage that this is all a put on. So please, let's all ease up on ourselves and just pay attention to what within ourselves may have led us down the road of accepting the love bomber, not the abuse. That came later. They already had you. So look at that. Chin up.